r/ask Reddit. What popular conspiracy theory is the easiest to shut down? That Starbucks employees write the names wrong on purpose so people will tweet the mistake and generate free advertising. Yeah, a whole bunch of low-level, low-paid employees around the world decided to keep their mouth shut about it. The obvious answer is a combination of they don't care enough to do it properly because they make barely over minimum wage. They do it to be funny because they are bored and like to mess with their co-workers who have to call them out. Serve millions of cups a day and there will be some funny misspelled names. I used to work at Starbucks. The real reason, at least at our store, is that it doesn't matter whether the name is spelled the right way so long as it's phonetically accurate. The whole purpose of writing it is so that the employee at the other end of the bar can yell it out for the customer. We're not going to waste everyone's time holding up the line to ask whether or not it's spelled Caitlin or Caitlin when it doesn't matter. And if I've never heard a name before, I'm just going to wing it completely. Do people actually give a shit about this? Like, is Caitlin going to complain and say you spelled my name wrong? I could understand if you guys were engraving plaques, but it's a freaking coffee cup. Flat Earth. If Earth is flat, you should be able to see Mt Everest with a telescope. Well, they have a similar argument. Saw something where they could see the skyline of a city from really far away and said that's proof the earth is flat. Not realizing that yeah, you can see the skyscrapers but you can't see the land they sit on. Mayo. The big one I saw was seeing Chicago's skyline over Lake Michigan, with people saying by globe calculations this should be impossible, when in fact it was just air currents bending the light from the city to an angle it wouldn't normally reach. The debunk? Going to the same spot on a different day and not being able to see it. I really like the conspiracy theory that the Dark Ages did not actually happen. Some pope added a few centuries to the date and nobody said anything. Charlemagne is fake history. I did a report on this in high school. It's called the Phantom Time Hypothesis. Basically, the Eastern Roman Emperor Constantine VII, Holy Roman Emperor Otto III, and Pope Sylvester II teamed up and fabricated all of European history between the years 614 and 911, meaning the year they ruled landed on the millennium, which would legitimize the rule of the papacy due to some vague verse from scripture about the church's rule for 1,000 years. Otto put in the story of Charlemagne to associate the HRE with a heroic figure to legitimize the Carolingian line to the throne of the HRE. It falls apart pretty quickly when you take into account the fact that dating techniques have dated archaeological finds to this time period. Also, other civilizations like the Chinese have a trove of astronomical records from this time. Also, we're pretty damn positive the Muslim-Arab conquests definitely, irrefutably happened and were a thing. That the 10,000 rats isn't the best option. Clearly, if you don't pick the 10,000 rats and the hunter, then you're dead. This is the biggest issue. If you don't pick the hunter, he will shoot you dead immediately. If you don't pick the rats, there is no way the other animals could defend you from all those rats. So no matter the fighting abilities of the rest, the only chance for survival is to pick the hunter and the rats. What if the hunter misses? Or you have the ability to hide long enough for the rats to get him? Your environment plays a big part in what the right choice would be. The 50 hawks would be a good option over the hunter in my opinion. However, not picking the rats is suicide. It would have been more balanced with, say, a few hundred rats. But 10,000? It's no question. I've yet to see an argument that the moon landings were fake that can't be answered using science. Or just as simple, if there was any real evidence it was fake, the USSR would have instantly called bullshit. The fact that they never did is the most compelling evidence of all. The Soviets had their own unmanned moon landings. If they had the chance to call out the American moon landings, then that would have not only significantly undermined the American space program, but it would have greatly reinforced their own. The fact that the Soviets never even considered to even suggest it was fake and itself watched the moon landings very closely prove how unrealistic it would be to fake such a thing. I love the concept that they designed and built a rocket perfectly capable of liftoff, transfer to the moon, lunar orbit, descent, landing, lunar takeoff, rendezvous orbit, transfer back to Earth, and splashing down in the ocean, but didn't do that because it was hard. This Mitchell and Webb sketch puts it perfectly. My personal favorite theory was that they agreed to fake it, and they actually convinced Stanley Kubrick to film it. Stanley, being the perfectionist he was, insisted it be shot on location on the moon. So they had to get to moon or they'd risk losing Stanley Kubrick. They launched an entire film crew and construction crew to the moon and built a studio to perfectly execute Stanley Kubrick's vision of what a moon landing would look like. They also shot a real moon landing, but it wasn't artistically viable, so they didn't use it. The Russians never pointed it out because it would mean admitting they hadn't even built a studio on the moon yet. Just a small kiosk selling Adidas tracksuits and cigarettes. Holocaust denial. If any of that was true, why didn't any of the defendants at the Nuremberg trials use it? And the sheer amount of bureaucracy the Nazis had. There's thousands of items of evidence creating a paper trail supporting claims about the Holocaust. The weirdest part is the only Holocaust deniers are Nazis. People who want a Holocaust. The most indefensible position. The Holocaust never happened. But it should have. There literally are exact records from the Deutsche Reichsbahn train operator billing the government for transporting people to the concentration camps, but not back. My sister used to go on and on about the FEMA coffins. I guess they have thousands of coffins being stored, and the conspiracy theory is they'll cause a disaster for them to be used. The reality of it is very simple. If a natural disaster happens and thousands of people die, there needs to be a place to put the people. We don't just dig holes and make giant graves in the US. These coffins are there because any other supply of coffins does not exist, especially not localized in one area. They probably need them to help get the corpses out after their death squads roll through. You know about the FEMA death squads, right? The theory that they go in after natural disasters to kill more people for some reason. Why do ambulances already have the body bags prepared? Hell, why do hospitals have medicine and doctors before people get sick unless they are the ones making them sick? Rainbows observed from sprinkler using the city's water is a naturally occurring phenomenon caused by light refracting through the droplets. It is not reliant on heavy metals. The anti-vax ones or the government chooses to hide a cancer cure one. The secret cancer cure conspiracy always bothers me. Most people would literally pay everything they own for a cure. Crackpots. They're hiding the cure for cancer so they can make money off treatments. Doctors. Here, have this Gardasil vaccine that prevents several forms of cancer from ever happening. Crackpots. They're trying to poison us with their vaccines! ! Imagine literally inventing a cure, vaccine, anyways, for some cancer and then having people accuse your invention of causing autism or poisoning people. The Paul is dead theory around Paul McCartney. My mom still believes it is true and buys into the even crazier theory that he was replaced by the government to help push LSD as a way for them to control the masses. New Paul is a superior songwriter and musician to old Paul, so who really cares? I don't know if it counts as a conspiracy theory, but Bigfoot, I mean, the people trying to prove Bigfoot is real are in the woods hanging up donuts and cooking bacon to attract one. Come on. The people trying to find Bigfoot are idiots, but I wouldn't be surprised if that big hairy beach was out there somewhere. There was a dude who was interviewed about killing Bigfoot's kid or whatever, so my dad got all excited and I watched this interview with him. It was 45 minutes of bullshit history tracking Bigfoot, ending with the dude saying he felt bad so he ducking buried it somewhere in the woods and forgot where he buried the body. I mean, come the duck on. What a letdown. I hate shows like that. Probably the one where black people used to be super geniuses who could also fly and use magic, and Africa was an advanced civilization and virtually every important historical figure was black, but then white people, who were inferior to them in every way, somehow managed to steal their knowledge, destroy their civilization and erase all traces of its existence, suppressed their magic powers, enslaved them, and completely rewrote history. Thanks for spoiling the plot of Black Panther for everyone. Aliens. No ducking way could Trump keep his mouth shut about that. I wouldn't be surprised if it came out Trump isn't told everything most presidents get to be in the know about. The theory that women can't touch their elbows behind their backs. I've personally confirmed this to be untrue with many women. That the earth is controlled by space lizards. Spotted the space lizard. People who believe in the flat earth theory. Flat earther. The world is flat. Literally anyone. But 6th grade arithmetic. The Sandy Hook massacre was a government conspiracy. Easy. Just talk to one of the parents and see if you're still standing. Disclaimer. Please do not talk to the parents. Ray. Conspiracy theories. Does not being able to lick your elbow count? Not if you're shill for big elbow. S. That Sandy Hook, Las Vegas, and all the other mass shootings of the last few years were orchestrated by the anti-gun left in order to push legislation to further restrict gun ownership. They have passed almost nothing significant despite this, so you expect me to believe they are using the very thing they want to ban to rack up a body count and still can't get support to ban it? OJ was innocent and the LAPD were all racists who plotted to bring OJ down because he's black. Common sense alone can just shut that one down in a heartbeat. Nessie is real, I tell ya, just not the abominable snowman. I'd say flat earth is probably the easiest to shut down. If you read, watch, and really investigate their arguments, it doesn't add up. I went down the rabbit hole trying to figure out the unifying why that makes FE supporters really believe and take hold of that view. Unfortunately, they are divided amongst themselves. Instead of finding a reason to support a FE narrative, they use a conceptual FE to support some other personal narrative. They blame NASA, Snapple, aliens, governments, or whatever is their personified villain of choice for manipulating the human race and then toss in a flat earth to justify their fear of the powers that be. Lots of other conspiracy theories have interesting points to debate or research, but I think FE is the easiest to shut down. Chemtrails. Chemicals that far up wouldn't have any effect on us down here. The smoke is made from ice crystals, and you can easily check up on the planes using the internet, which means you can see and track every plane you see. The NBA draft lottery is rigged. Then why do small market teams like the Cleveland Cavaliers and Orlando Magic overcome long odds to win a disproportionate amount of the time? Lakers have been bad 5 years in a row yet have never landed the number 1 pick, and it's been over 30 years for the Knicks, who started the conspiracy way back when. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.